They think you're stupid, America. They do, and they think you're going to buy the story. There's some brand new information that just broke a couple hours ago that's going to give the invaders of Venezuela all the excuse they need. I've been trying to warn about it. I've been trying to ring the bell and educate people about what really happened down there over the last 5 years and why the last president and this president stand shoulder to shoulder on this story. And still, silence. Not just from the mainstream media, but from anybody else here on YouTube. This is Reuters. Venezuela says that a jailed lawmaker takes own life. Opposition says he was killed. See, they still think you're stupid. There was a group of people that were involved in the assassination attempt on Mr. Maduro. And so the opposition, needing an excuse, had one of their own killed and then thrown from the 10th floor of the State Intelligence Building, giving a full view to everyone around. Do you really honestly think if the Maduro government wanted to kill this guy, that they would have taken his body in public and thrown it off of the 10th floor of their own jail? If they wanted this guy disappeared or silenced, do you really think that's how they would do it? Of course they wouldn't. But I'll tell you what, the opposition, who've been scratching their heads for something to think up, to give the public spectacle the reason to outrage everybody to get behind the invasion of Venezuela, well, they have it. And the guy from Uruguay, the president of the OAS, literally said so. Came right out and said, there must be an invasion. I'll read the article for you and you tell me what you think. Venezuela's government said on Monday that a jailed opposition lawmaker killed himself by jumping from the 10th floor of the State Intelligence Agency headquarters, SEBIN, where he was being held, but his party says he was murdered by the government. Municipal lawmaker Fernando Alban, 56, was jailed last Friday for alleged involvement in the explosion of 2 drones during a military parade in August that was led by President Nicolas Maduro. At the moment he was going to be transported to court, while he was in the SEBIN waiting room, he jumped from the window of the building and fell, causing his death. The account differed from the one by Chief Prosecutor Tarek Saab, who said in televised statements that Alban had asked to use the bathroom and jumped from there. Really? The opposition First Just Party, for which Alban was a Caracas municipal councillor, said he was murdered. Now think about this for a minute. If the government was going to murder him, why would they be talking to reporters? Think about this for a minute. If they had him held in prison and they wanted him disappeared, why in the world would they take his body and throw it out into public like that? If they'd wanted him dead, they could have killed him weeks ago. And nobody would have ever seen him again. That would have been suspicious. But this? Jumps from a 10th floor, really. And of course, here we go. With great pain and thirst for justice, we tell the people of Venezuela that Councilman Fernando Alban was murdered at the hands of the regime of Nicolas Maduro. First Justice National Coordinator Julio Borges said Alban's lifeless body was thrown from the SEBIN's headquarters on Caracas Plaza, Venezuela. He did not provide any evidence, and did he say what led him to believe that Alban was killed? Once again, are you this stupid? If you really believe this story, I have nothing to say that I could say. If you would believe that the Maduro government would be this dumb. The party said that Albin's arrest was owing to statements he made at recent United Nations meetings in New York City denouncing human rights violations in Venezuela. The government had previously given no reason for his arrest. On Monday, Reverol said Albin had also been investigated for destabilizing activities directed from abroad. The chairman of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee and Senator Bob Corker called on Maduro to explain the reasons for Albin's death. Corker was in Caracas on Monday to meet with the government officials and the opposition to assess Venezuela's economic crisis. So Corker was there and on the ground. Oh, imagine that. When this happened. This is disturbing, and the government has a responsibility to ensure all understand how that could have happened, Corker, Republican, said on Twitter. So you're telling me that with an American senator on the ground in Venezuela, that the Venezuelan government decided that was the day that they were going to murder one of the level of stupid is epic. The United States imposed new sanctions on several of Maduro's top allies, blah, 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 and he didn't do it. He loved the country so much. Of course, they're defending the guy as if all these people down here are pure as the wind-driven snow. And of course, we get down here to the bottom, which is what I was waiting for. The Organization of American States condemned Albin's death. Quote, direct responsibility of a regime that tortures and murders. This criminal dictatorship must go now from Venezuela. OAS Secretary General Luis Almagro said on Twitter. You have to be kidding. They really think you're this dumb? That you're going to buy this story? That just so happened when a senator from America, from the United States, visits that day, that's the day that the government, the Maduro government, is going to choose to take one of the opposition and throw him off of the jail. You see, of course, I mean, you can't explain this to people that aren't going to get it. This is the setup they needed. And this is what we've been talking about. We were waiting. We were waiting for what was going to be the reason, what was going to be the spark that finally gave the politicians in this country the reason to say, okay, you know what, we didn't want to. We wanted to settle it peacefully. And, we tried, but they're just so evil that even with one of our senators down there, they still threw this guy. They murdered him and threw him off of the prison. It's sometimes, and you watch. That's gonna be what they're gonna do. They're gonna try to run this story out as if this is what really happened. And of course, when the government of Venezuela says, no, the guy committed suicide, or I don't believe he committed suicide. I think he was killed by somebody who was the member of the opposition. And they're the ones who threw him off the prison. They got people on the inside down there. They have had for a long time. This is something that the government of Venezuela has dealt with for a very long time. They have had people undermining them from inside. Working for the opposition. They arrested over 200 people in PDVSA. They've gotten quite a few of them out of the military. This is why our government has continually tried to coax their military into committing treason and sedition. You have to wonder, you really do, you have to wonder about a government that encourages the military of a foreign power to commit sedition and treason by rising up against the duly elected government of a nation. Because that's what Pompeo's done. Nikki Haley's done it. Rex Tillerson did it. I mean, there's disagreeing with the government and having philosophical problems about the leadership of a country. But going to these lengths, they're going to step up the game now. You mark my words, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. This criminal over here, Ledesma, he's orchestrated this and he's already announced it. That they want the gold, they want the oil. You have to really wonder. If you think anything that's going on in Venezuela doesn't go on times 10 next door in Colombia, or times 100 in Africa, but of course we welcome those dictators with open arms, shake hands and cut deals with guys like Muhammadu Buhari. We invite guys like Duque into NATO. But a country that's never threatened us once, it's pretty sickening. We'll keep an eye on this. Like, share, subscribe.